Hey y'all, it's Brent from Cyclecentric. Hope you're doing well. It's been kind of an absent summer on my part, so apologies for that, but I had a lot of things going on and some really exciting things to share with you. I actually sold my Bridge Club frame this summer and have been working on building up another frame that I bought last spring. So I wanted to share that with you and tell you a little bit about what I did and what that process was like. And here we go. All right, everyone, here's the new frame. It's a Gorilla Monsoon frame by All City that I purchased this last spring at a bike swap. It was really going to be a piece of art hanging on my wall in my home for the foreseeable future because I wasn't planning on building it up right away. But then I started thinking about it, and while I enjoyed parts about the Bridge Club, I always felt like, primarily because it was a touring bike, it was too big for me. I bought the size large. I'm 6 feet tall, and I have long arms, longer legs, but it never quite felt comfortable to me. So I tried things to switch it up. I put on a shorter stem. Because the Bridge Club felt so big to me, I tried to do things to change the geometry. I put on a shorter stem. I eventually put on some swept back bars. I tried out a few different stems. I had one that was 50 millimeters, and I put one on that was 35 millimeters, and that top tube for me just felt very long. So I contemplated, did I want to buy a medium-sized Bridge Club and switch over all the components? But then it came to me, why don't I just build up this All City Gorilla Monsoon and use a lot of the same componentry that I had from the Bridge Club? So I really love this paint job. It's the root beer paint. When I bought the frame, it didn't come with the fork. So I had to find a workaround for that. But let me show you around. I ended up taking most of what I had on the Bridge Club and switching it to the Gorilla Monsoon. And it didn't take me very long to complete. I used the Tumbleweed Persuader bars that I had on the Bridge Club. The gearing is the same, so I was able to put on a 1x12. The wheel set is basically from a All City Super Professional, but the spacing worked for this bike, so I was able to utilize it with the through axles. I didn't have the fork when I bought the frame for the Gorilla Monsoon, and I looked around for one a little bit online. I couldn't find one in short term, and so what I found was that the Surly Midnight Special fork is a good replacement for the Gorilla Monsoon fork. Slightly less tire clearance, but it's doing the job just right. Same spacing for the front through axle. It was a little bit short, so I didn't end up cutting the fork at all, but it works out just fine for me because of the up sweep and the back sweep of these handlebars. It's worked out just fine. I did buy a brand new headset, the Wolf Tooth components, gold. I thought the gold looked really great against this kind of orangey brown of the frame. And then I was able to switch the crank set. I had already upgraded it to a SRAM NX with a 32 tooth front cog, and I'm still using the same tires that I was using before, which is the Rene Hurst 55 millimeter 27.5 tires, and they are smooth with really good grip. If you guys haven't tried these things out, highly recommended. They're amazing. I did put on a Brooks Cambium all-weather saddle, which the verdict is still out. It's a little bit rough on my contact points. And then I did end up using the same TRP Spire brakes that I had. And let me show you this. We had to come up with a little bit of a workaround on the adapters because these brakes didn't really fit the flat mount profile with a 160 millimeter rotor. So if you'll see, that adapter is a little bit on the lengthy side, but it's working out just fine. I've had this bike out on a few rides so far, and it's really been an amazing ride. I did end up, when I purchased this frame, I thought potentially it was going to be a little bit too large for me. When I looked at the geo between the Bridge Club and this frame, which is actually a size 58, as a lot of you may know, All Cities run a little bit large. I was a little bit concerned about that because I think maybe the 55 might make more sense for me. But when compared to the Bridge Club, that top tube was just so much longer. So this for me has been kind of a welcome change in that I've been able to sit a little bit more upright, bring my body back into a more comfortable position for me, and I got a really great price in this frame. So a huge upgrade for me in geometry and in comfortability. You know, I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts about the new build. I just finished it last week and am just really enjoying how it turned out, and again, how comfortable it fit for me. The other thing that I'm noticing about the bike is that in comparison to the Bridge Club, I'm sure it has a lot to do with the fact that the steel tubing is a little bit lighter, the wheel set is a little bit lighter, but I'm noticing that this just feels livelier. There's definitely more pep, and I think with the same 11 to 52 gear ratio on the back for the 12 speed, this one feels like it's better geared. I just feel like I can go faster, I can climb better, and while the Bridge Club was an excellent bike and I really enjoyed my time with it, I just find that this is a better fit for me, and I was just pleasantly surprised by how good it feels. I did end up putting a 50 millimeter stem on this bike because of the larger size of the frame, and I do feel like that helped a lot because, as I mentioned, I think the frame technically, as I mentioned, I think the frame may be a little bit big for me, but there's always ways that you can turn that around and make it feel better, make it feel more natural, and it won't always work. I mean, if you're on a large bike and you're supposed to have a small frame, there are only kind of finite numbers or finite things that you can do to change the ride to make it feel like it should be your size, but at some point it just won't work. In this case, it's definitely working, and it's probably because I'm going from what I felt was a really big frame to something closer to my size, which I'm thankful for. One other thing I'll mention is a plug for bike swaps. If you're in the market for a new bike or a frame, I'd highly recommend checking out a bike swap, because you oftentimes have people there that have excess components or have an extra demo frame that was lightly used, and you can get a good deal. Oftentimes at a bike swap, you can find frames or components that are gently used. If you've got a build that you're working on, or in my situation when you want to look for a new frame or something that would cost a lot more if you bought it new, if you're tight on budget, it's a great place to find good deals. Now, I put most of this bike together myself. I wanted the experience and wanted to know how to service the bike for the future. And while I think it's a great idea to educate yourself on how to service your bike, when it came down to finding the right adapter for my TRP Spires, I looked around a little bit. I ordered one part that didn't work and inevitably took it to my local bike shop. They had the parts in stock and were able to get me up and running by the next day. So if you don't have a comfort level or just can't find the right part, local bike shop's always a great option. All right, y'all, that's it for this ride. Appreciate you coming along with me. I really appreciate you sticking with me. I know it's been a long gap since I put out a video, but now that my build is finished, I hope that there will be many more rides that I can post for you. If you like this type of content, bicycles, upgrades, geometry, all that nerdery, feel free to like and subscribe. I definitely will be posting new content, and we'll have more rides, especially as winter falls and I need to get outside and take some winter rides. If you all want to see any additional content, let me know in the comments. I really appreciate you subscribing, and we'll see you on the next ride. Take care, y'all.